I think what I would say, as Giving Tuesday is coming up, Club completely changed my life. And that's not a unique event. Club works for so many kids, hundreds of kids, thousands of kids. Every single day, Club works. And I think when something like that is that successful, you can't help but pour into it. And whatever your donation is, no matter the amount, that becomes a moment of safety for a kid who has nowhere else to go after school. It becomes a mentor who tells a kid that they are capable of something, that they can excel, just like what happened with me. It becomes a meal that kids don't get at home. It becomes an activity where kids can feel loved and find passion. And really, it becomes a space where youth are able to breathe, where youth are able to grow, where youth are able to excel. And I can't think of a better investment.
Highly successful individuals are always focused on what's next, but they often don't take time to reflect on their journey and how far they've come. I'm Craig Heatherly, host of the Path Less Traveled podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary leaders. Their success rarely follows a straight path, and that's what makes their story so remarkable. Most weeks on this show, we talk to CEOs and business executives and business leaders about leadership. But with Giving Tuesday coming up, I wanted to do something different. This week, we're going to be talking to a young leader and future executive, business leader, CEO. I want you to meet the real reason why not-for-profits like the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Indiana Corridor exist, because you're going to hear from Rima Bahradine-Bell, a senior high school student at Career Academy South Bend, who last year was one of five national finalists for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America's Youth of the Year. Out of more than 4,500 clubs and 500,000 kids. She started coming to the club in Northern Indiana when she was just 5 years old. What you're going to hear is a story of how this place literally changed the trajectory of her life and why your gift on Giving Tuesday keeps that door open for the next Rima. Rima, welcome to the Path Less Traveled podcast.
Hello. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
First off, I want to thank you for just fitting me in your calendar. It feels like every time I look up, you're on another stage, you're co-hosting another event, shaking hands with celebrities. So thank you for fitting us into your calendar.
It feels like that for me too. Like every single second I turn, I just see something new pop up on the to-do list, right?
Well, I'd love for you to take us back to the first day when you walked through the club doors, but let's be honest. You probably don't remember that. So what I do want to ask you is, when you hear the word club, what emotions, what thoughts, what things just come to mind when you hear that?
So you would be right to assume that I do not remember a thing. So I was 5 years old. I don't exactly remember walking into club, and I don't exactly remember every single activity that I did or what I did when I got there after school every day. But one thing that I always will remember is definitely the family that I built. A lot of my siblings actually went during that period, and I would say just the mentorship is something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I think I built a lot of really good foundations in my first couple years in club, just knowing how to be kind, how to be empathetic, how to work well with others, things like that. So when I look at club and I think about how I feel towards club, it kind of comes into my head at different time periods in my life. When I was when I was really young, I think I saw it as a safe haven, something that inspired hope, something that fostered a lot of love. I think as I joined again in my later years, my freshman year, I now see it as opportunity. I now see it as access. I now see it as bravery, because I feel that that's what it inspired in me to start bringing to my community. So yeah, I guess it just really depends on how I look at it or what different lens of life that I was in at that period. But there's so many things I could use to describe club, and it all really just leads to love and community.
What I will say is just asking you that question and hearing the words. It's another thing to see the look on your face, right? You light up and you smile, and you've got a great smile and a great personality. And they're going to hear it throughout the throughout this interview. I guess help me better understand and help listeners better understand what life was like at school and at home before club became your second home.
Yeah. Well, to give a little background, I grew up in a single-parent household. I have, if you can imagine, 10 siblings.
10.
Yeah. I have a twin brother, and him and I are the youngest, but I will say I'm 60 seconds older, and don't let anybody forget it. But
You are
yeah.
big sis.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm not the youngest in my book. But no, I had 10 siblings. I grew up in a single-parent household. We didn't have a lot of money. My mom is an immigrant from Germany. And that set us at a down point already in life. There was not a lot of focus that can be put on me specifically or my growth or my development. And there was just a lot going on. After a little while, my brother had passed away, and my whole family got sent into this spiral of just grief, of sadness, of really just how any person grieving would be, asking that question of why. And because I was so young, it's not something that I remember or something that I really had to grapple with. But what I did have to deal with was losing all of the stable adults in my life, because they were dealing with their own feelings, and because that they had so much to focus on themselves, they couldn't really focus on me and my development, or even my twin brother. And club offered that. So going into club after those couple of years gave me mentors and gave me people that I knew would be there to help me grow, that would be there to help me shine and rise and recognize all the talents that I had, and eventually pursue me and push me into things that would help me like dig into those.
You talked about mentors and just people already that have played a significant role in your life. Tell us about somebody, whether it be a volunteer or a staff member, that really made you feel like this place it's different. And what was that feeling like, or who was it, and what was it about them, or that their time with you changed things for you?
Yeah, I've had so many staff members that I've encountered that have completely changed my life, the way that I think about life, the way that I think and treat others. And one person that I have to give a shout out to, and I always do, because I think a lot of the change in my character really came in my later years in club, really came in my high school years. And somebody that was there every step of the way, I have to give a shout out to our old CEO, Jacqueline Kronk. I love her so much. I think just watching her lead with compassion, watching her come to work every day with a vision for youth, and be excited about changing the lives of others, push that upon me. And it really helped me decide the leader that I wanted to be for the future. She is my role model through and through. If I ever am confused about something, I'm going to think, what would Jacqueline do? And I'm going to push onto that path. And even further than just leading by example, she has been with me through every single step of my journey, and has continued to offer me opportunities, has continued to show me love, has continued to just push me into spaces that I might not be comfortable with, but she knows I can excel in. And yeah, I have to give a shout out to her. I love her so much. And I think that says a lot about really just all club staff in general. I think the mission is so deeply ingrained into club and all of its staff members, and you can see that. And when you see that, you want to be a part of it, and you want to take a part of it, and push out that same love that they're giving into the world yourself. And yeah, it's beautiful.
It's clear that the club has allowed you to dream big, like dream really big. Was there a moment for you that changed the game, made you think differently, made you think more about your future than your present? Was there a moment in time, or was there a person in time that comes to mind?
Yeah. So, I do have to say that, like I said earlier, a lot of my like change came in my high school years, I think, when it came to club. My freshman year, I participated in Youth of the Year, and all 4 years of high school, I did Summit of America's Youth. And I don't think it was until my sophomore year that I really saw the change that it could make in my life. My first couple years, I kind of saw this as like, oh, this is something fun. I'm just really lucky that all this stuff is happening to me. And I think it wasn't until later that I realized that it was all happening because I was smart, because I was capable. And that is because mentors took their time to instill that in me. So my sophomore year, I went to Summit of America's Youth, which, if you don't know what that is, like hundreds of Boys and Girls Club kids from all across the country gather together in DC and are able to lobby with their representatives. So the first couple days, we do like training, we get settled in, get to talk to everybody and meet a bunch of different people and network a little bit. And then the last day is something that we call Hill Day. So we all get to walk up onto Capitol Hill and go and meet with our representatives and talk to them about just issues in our communities that we think are really important for youth today and things that we want to change. And so we walk in, we go through all of our meetings, and we get done. And we're walking over to the elevators, and I turn over to my mentor, Letty, and I say, so like, what are the qualifications to like become president? And, I chuckled a little bit after.
It's a great question, I think.
It's a great question. And then I chuckled a little bit after. But what I love so much is that she took my question completely seriously. Like, she took it completely seriously. She stopped, she goes, well, and just listed it out. She's like, you probably want to do this first. You might want to go to college for this. Yeah. And I'm like, okay then. And I think it was in that moment that I started thinking a lot more deeply about my future. And then when I started thinking more deeply about my future and I started putting in even more effort, that's when comes back to I realized that I'm capable, and that's why these opportunities are being given to me. And yeah. So that I love telling that story.
Yeah, no, it's a great story, and what a response by Letty, and I'm honored to know Letty in this story and Jacqueline Kronk in this story. When you're talking about your future, there's a lot of things that the clubs offer to kids, the youth that are attending the different programs, a wide range of programs, everything from homework help to college prep to leadership programs. I guess which one of those programs or all of them had a big impact on you? And tell us a little bit more about just kind of the before and the after of going through that program or those programs.
Yeah. I would say first off, let's just take a moment to recognize how amazing it is, the amount of things that club offers. Like, I feel like every single time that I walk in a club and I look over at the bulletin board, it's like, oh, choir club. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing choir now in club. They're like, oh, baking. I'm like, okay, we have chefs. Like, and there's so many things that club is like allowing kids to do, which I think is so beautiful, and it recognizes the diversity that is within club. There's so many different kids from so many different walks of life. And so just knowing that they're able to have access to anything, that will lead them to what they want to do in the future. Because yes, we do have chefs in club. Yes, we do have musicians in club. Yes, we have actors in club. And so it's amazing that club is actually offering those opportunities to allow them to explore that. I would say for me personally, I was never one to struggle with grades. Yippee, woohoo, for the straight A's on the report card. Okay, that was not something that I ever had to worry about. And I think part of it was just like, I don't want to have any more problems to push onto my family. And so I know that this is one thing that I can control, is I can get good grades and, stay out of trouble. And so I made it a really good point to focus on that. And I think in doing that, I kind of neglected the other part of just being a human, which is my confidence or my feelings. And I think that is something specifically that club helped me with. And though I don't know if there was any specific program for it, it's just being surrounded by the people. And that's staff, but that's also including members. Being surrounded by a community that can help build that confidence and help build that character. So yeah, I think that's what's helped me a lot. I think I've learned a lot as well through Youth of the Year because it's exposed me to so many different people. Youth of the Year and Summit for America's Youth has exposed me to so many different people. My fellow Youth of the Year finalists, I love them so much. And there isn't a group of people that I'd rather fly out to a random state in America with and just go and talk and be there with each other for a couple days and, stay up late and just talk about life. I was in LA a couple weeks ago for the national.
Oh, wow.
Yes, for the National Youth of the Year competition. It was so fun to watch. It was so fun to meet the national finalists for this year and talk to them and listen to their speeches. And I had two of the other, the military youth, National Youth of the Year, and then the National Youth of the Year were both there as well. And we stayed up super late talking. And then I went on a hike with the military Youth of the Year. I love Taylor. We went and hiked in the mountains in LA, and we jumped in the water at the beach, like fully clothed, and just like had fun, and just talked about our futures and how club has impacted us. And it's those conversations that are kind of overlooked that really build character, and I love them.
Well, you just mentioned Youth of the Year, and I do want to talk about that a little bit. Now that you are a national finalist, one of five in the entire country, one of five in the entire country. Not many people can say, 4 others can say it, but not many other people can say it. You've been on the local stage, you've been on the statewide stage, you've been on the regional Midwest stage and the national stage. I mean, just tell us about just that experience, delivering speeches, being front and center, and just what it's done for you personally, what it's done for you professionally, and just how it's just kind of shaped your future and maybe even some cool people you've met along the way.
Yeah. I've met so many different people from so many different walks of life. Youth of the Year is like a blessing in my life that I do not know where I would be without. I think the competition really came in a really developmental stage in my life. I started my freshman year, and unfortunately, freshman year, guys, I did make it to state. However, I did not make it past, but it is okay because little Rima needed the setback so that she could come back even stronger.
Setback for the setup.
Right, the setback for the setup. I like that. I gotta steal that. But no, I needed the setback so I could come back even stronger. And my sophomore year, I went through, our club competition and then went over to state championships. And there's I'm surrounded by seniors and I'm just like a tiny sophomore. And I'm like, I'm just here for the fun of it. I'm not gonna win. And then they're like, oh, you're a finalist. And I'm like, yeah, sure, finalist, yeah, whatever that means. I'm not gonna win. And I remember the first moment that they called my name, and I'm sitting by Letty, and I look over and I see Jacqueline and Lindahl screaming over in the corner, and I'm like, oh no way, this isn't real. And it was a huge shock. I didn't know what to say. I think it's the first time I've ever been speechless because I could talk for literally hours. And so yeah, it's one of the first times I've ever been speechless. But I don't even count winning as the most fun part of the competition. I don't think I really ever have. I think the last day is probably the most scary because that's when you have to go up on stage and talk in front of a bunch of people. And the days before that is the time that nobody else sees. And that's the time where we actually get to bond with our fellow finalists. This is the time that we get to bond with each other and learn more about each other, learn more about, how club has shaped them, where have they come from, what things in life have they experienced. And so I think that was kind of the most rewarding part of Youth of the Year is being able to connect with other kids that were in club and were impacted by club. It gives you a lot more empathy, and it's just a beautiful thing to see how that has played out for them.
Well, I think it's so cool to be able to witness and observe the journey as a board member, but then also within the community that although I'm sure you're competitive and you wanted to win, And that's why I started this podcast, was leaders are so focused on like what's next and what's next and what's next and achieving that they forget to enjoy the journey along the way. So it's so cool to hear that the journey was the most enjoyable part of this for you. I guess let's get a little bit more real here for a bit. Were there some days that you thought about just quitting, not going to the club? But what kept pulling you back? Because I'm sure there's a lot of kids that are dealing with this. But what brought you back? And was there a day that you can remember?
Yeah, I would say that we've definitely all had our struggles. I think for me, it was honestly more so this year. I'm a senior now, and I'm looking ahead to college, right? And so that means I have all the stresses of being an emotional high school teenage girl from the same as last year with all of my classes and extracurriculars, and all the speaking engagements and all of that. And now pile on college applications, trying to find a way to pay for college, graduation. You know how expensive it is to be a senior in 2026? Like, can we talk about this? It is actually insane.
I'm sure there's two sets of people that know how expensive it is. The seniors and then also the parents of the seniors. Yes.
Right. So watch out. You know, you're gonna be coming up on that one day. No. But yeah. So I think this year, just like having all those stresses, it was really hard for me to. In my head, I think like, how can I make time? Like, how can I make time at the end of my day? Like, I have 2 hours of cross-country practice where, God forbid, my coach makes me run 7 miles in that day. And then the hill sprints right after. How do I make time to actually go to club? How do I make time to involve myself in the things that club is doing? And that definitely became a struggle. And I think switching my mindset a lot helped, because going to club doesn't add more stress. It never does. And honestly, I think club is able to really help me with it instead. I go to the teen center primarily, and so I have a bunch of other kids around me who are also applying for colleges. Oh, who would have thought that I could have asked them for help, or that even I could help them? I have a bunch of mentors who have gone to college, or just like people around me where I can just talk, or, hey, I'm taking a break from doing this homework assignment really quick. I'm going to chat with my club director, and just, you know, have a second to calm down and take a moment. And so this year it was definitely a struggle to be like, okay, I need to make time. I need to make time to go to club, but it isn't really making time. I think it's using my time wisely. So
I think it's what everybody struggles with. It's, this season of your life is just for everybody. It requires something different than maybe the last season.
Yeah.
And how important it is to just be in the moment. And I get to interview business leaders and they struggle with the same thing, different content, or different context, but the same thing of like, how can I just be in the moment while also preparing for the future? It's such a tough balance. Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing just kind of what you're dealing with right now, because what you needed from the club when you were, 14, 15, it's a lot different probably than what you need from the club right now at the age of 17, 16, 17? 18. Well, as a board member and just a community supporter, I'm happy that the club has pulled you back in, and to just see how it's helped you just flourish as an individual. I guess who's one club staff member that comes to mind? I don't know, it's become somewhat like family to you. Just tell a story about that individual and the impact that they've had on your life.
So like I mentioned before, during Summit of America's Youth, I had a mentor there named Letty. And what you guys do not know about Letty is that Letty was my club director when I was just 5 years old. And she was also the club director for many of my siblings. And so they all know her. My mom knows her. And we all just have a love for her. She is so bright and has been with me through literally every single point of not only my club journey, but really just my life in general. And I know I can come to her whether I have any type of problems, whether I just have good news and I have nobody else to share it with. I think she was one of the first people that I sent a picture of my license to when I first got my driver's license, or anything like that. And so I just know that Letty's always there, and I love her so much. She also travels with me to all my speaking engagements. So me and Letty have traveled a lot together.
Oh,
okay,
very cool.
We've been to Indy, we've been to Chicago, we've been to Vegas, to San Diego, to LA, probably more, I think Wisconsin, probably more that I can't think of right now, but she's been everywhere with me together. And this summer, I decided to join something called Aim High Flight Academy, which is like a flying camp-ish type of thing. So I became a pilot, and I got my student pilot's license, and it was the first time that I ever had to navigate an airport by myself. And when I tell you, Letty was with me that day, okay? I never had to worry about it before. I didn't have to think about what gate to go to, okay? I didn't have to think about times or what my seat was. She'd just tell me when we're walking on the plane. And so she was definitely with me then, and I'm like, Letty, I don't know how to do this. And so to just know that she's there in the little moments is really bright, and I think that's what family is. And so, yeah.
I'm sure just hearing you speak, it's hard to just be out in public or be around friends or be around family, be around whoever, and club, and the impact of club not come up. Just hearing you speak and you light up talking about all the experiences and the stories. I guess, what does life look like if we were to remove club from your life? I guess, can you even think that way?
I think that club has been such an ingrained part of my life and my character that I truly couldn't imagine it outside of there. I think I've thought about this a lot, actually, because I'm like, oh my gosh, my life is looking so up right now. I am able to apply for colleges. I'm able to excel in my extracurriculars that I never would have thought of doing if I didn't have those people pushing me. And I'm like, where would I be right now if I continued on the same path that I was on? And I think it makes me really emotional and really sad, because I don't know if I have confidence. Like, I don't know if I'd have hope. I don't know if I'd have a dream about college or leadership or doing things that will actually impact my community. I think club gave me something that I never saw growing up. And that was possibility. That was stability. And so, yeah, I have no idea where I would be without club. I definitely don't think that I'd be as good of a person, as kind of a person, or as passionate of a person.
Well, the reality is that there are some challenges that adults can't face, that adults can't deal with, that children are dealing with and having to face. You've been going to club for quite some time, and you yourself have some personal stories of overcoming things and just some of these silent battles that kids are having to deal with. I guess, what are some things that come to mind that staff members at the club or just other kids are helping kids through that come to mind?
Yeah. I think that it honestly needs to be talked about more. Kids are coming from so many different walks of life, and it's sad that you see people that are facing homelessness for years at a time, that are facing abuse at home, or that even just lack simple necessities like food, like electricity, like love. And that's what they're given at club. And that's why it's so important that kids continue to have access to club, that kids continue to be able to go walk through those blue doors and feel like they have home. It's.
Well, you won the Indiana Youth of the Year award and the Midwest Youth of the Year award. And each time, you're so grateful for those that have had an impact on your journey. It's never been about you, which I so appreciate. I guess as you think about If you were to talk to somebody that's considering a gift to the Boys and Girls Club, as we approach Giving Tuesday, December 2nd, what's the impact of that gift?
Yeah. First, I want to say that winning those awards was about the other people. And I couldn't have made any of my speeches and my thank you speeches about anybody else, but the people that led to that. But I think what I would say, as Giving Tuesday is coming up, Club completely changed my life. And that's not a unique event. Club works for so many kids, hundreds of kids, thousands of kids. Every single day, Club works. And I think when something like that is that successful, you can't help but pour into it. And whatever your donation is, no matter the amount, that becomes a moment of safety for a kid who has nowhere else to go after school. It becomes a mentor who tells a kid that they are capable of something, that they can excel, just like what happened with me. It becomes a meal that kids don't get at home. It becomes an activity where kids can feel loved and find passion. And really, it becomes a space where youth are able to breathe, where youth are able to grow, where youth are able to excel. And I can't think of a better investment.
Well, appreciate you sharing all this. I guess one of my favorite questions with driven individuals like yourself is like, what is next? What's next for you? You've talked about college. Gosh, you've talked about the stresses of college applications. Gosh, if they could streamline that for us, that would be great. But I guess what is next for you?
Oh my goodness. So I'm getting this question a lot, as you would assume a high school senior would get. So I have applied for colleges. I'm waiting to hear back. My top two right now are Notre Dame and Bloomington. And so I think I hear back from those two in December. So we'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. But I plan to study pre-dentist. I plan to go on a pre-dentistry track and become a dentist when I'm older. But I also recognize that advocacy is such a large part of my character, a part of my person, a part of my history, and I plan to be part of my future. And so it's just something that I'm not willing to give up ever. And so I plan to study at Bloomington, I would think nonprofit management and leadership. And then at Notre Dame, they have a pre-health track that includes advocacy within your whatever pre-medicine thing that you want to do. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to be a dentist and I can provide healthcare to underserved communities, travel and do things like that. But I'll never stop giving back to my community. Or Club either. I'll never stop giving back to Club, my community, or anything that's shaped the person I am today. So,
well, my final question for you, and yeah, I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this one. I guess when you think about the next Rima, and based upon, what's happened here within the Northern Indiana Corridor Club. Through you and through, your peers and staff members, and how you've now been put on a national stage, there's going to be kids that are going to become the next Rima. It's so cool to even say that here in this community. I guess, what would you say to the kid that's going to walk through those club doors for the first time? What do you hope that they'll find when they walk in to the club?
This one is such an easy question and such a simple answer to go with it. I hope that they find exactly what I know existed when I was in club and exists in every club today and will in the future, and that's hope. That is hope for whatever they want to do in the future. If they want to be a dentist, if they want to be a chef, if they want to be an actor, if they want to be an artist, if they want to be an engineer, whatever they want to do, find hope. And Club will do the rest. Club will do the rest. They'll give you opportunity. They'll give you access. Networking alone. Just all of it. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. I've been on the board here for 2 years, and I genuinely get chills thinking about the impact that this has on the youth and the transformation that happens with individuals, and how that can have a generational impact just through the investment of a community and the investment of a staff that loves the kids and just all that goes into keeping the doors open. And not just keeping the doors open, but pouring into an organization that's having an impact. So I want to thank you again for doing this, being a part of the Path Less Traveled podcast, a very special episode that I'm positive others are gonna truly enjoy. So
I hope so.
yeah. So listeners, if you want the next kid to have their own Rima story, go to bgcnic.org and give. Rima, we are proud of you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.